Good morning, everybody. I have to say, it's not sunny outside today from the woman from California, but I tell you, when I look out here right now, I feel the sun. I just sat here and I was like, it's sunny in here. I'm feeling the light of the sun. All right, well, welcome. My name is Dyann Castro-Wehr, and I'm the service assistant today. And today, Frank, our minister, will be speaking, and the title talk is Our Spiritual Investment Strategy. All right. And we're so happy to welcome today Quiet Fire as our special music ministry. Yes. As we prepare for our time of reflection, I invite you to find a comfortable place in your chair and close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that. As we take a few deep cleansing breaths in, let's begin with an affirmative prayer for people or situations that are speaking to our hearts right now. For those who are in need in prayer, I invite you to speak their names out loud or hold them silently in your heart. Joining together, we collectively affirm the presence of Spirit in all situations and all people. We hold a vision for the highest outcome with faith in the continual presence and unfolding of love. Returning to our breath, we can sink a little deeper in our chairs now as we pause for some reflection coming from the daily word. The word for the day is prosperity. The affirmation, as I give, I receive. Let's say that together. As I give, I receive. I may have noticed that when I feel grateful or happy, I also feel prosperous, regardless of my finances. This is because prosperity comes from within. I build this attitude by looking for the good in every encounter. If I cannot immediately see the good, I ask Spirit to show it to me. For example, in the midst of a challenging meeting or a difficult conversation, I ask for the good to be revealed. I tell myself not to be reactive while I calmly wait for divine guidance that may show itself as a feeling of lightness, clarity, humor, or compassion. This is prosperity in action. From within the sanctuary of my being, the light shines within me, and true treasure is found as inner peace and joy. For as I give, I receive. Let's take a few minutes to hold these words in our hearts in silence. As I give, I receive.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little
Wow. We did do Wizard of Oz for a month. You remember that? Callback. It's beautiful. So today, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm looking at the clock, 20 minutes. We can do this. But there's so much that's bubbled up because we've been kind of on a roll here with stories. For those of you who have been here over the last many weeks, and we've been playing with both stories from Scripture, especially parables, but we've also been introducing a lot of other stories, like from pop culture. And we did a great thing on Cinderella, and we're looking at Brer Rabbit and other stuff. So I wanted to bring all these pieces of the stories together. But one of the things, just to catch you up, and we've been on this thread of parables, bless you. And one of the things about the parables is that, and there's like dozens of them, right? And then we found the Gospel of Thomas, add another dozen, so there's plenty of these really just juicy stories out there. And one of the things we noticed, we talked a while ago about the seed stories. Really focused on what is this stuff that's growing. And one of the key parts we learned about these stories of the person who throws the seed and some grows and some doesn't, and how does it grow, is that in all of that, humans have a little bitty part to play. And it's an important part, and it's a lot of work for us. We have to till soil and pull weeds and turn the soil over and buy the seed and plant the seed. And they're like, look what we did. Look at what we grew. Except we don't do any of the growing, right? The seed has its own divine impetus. It's growing itself. And the genetics of it, the mystery of it, the air, the minerals, what's in the soil, what's in the water. 95% of what's happening in that stuff that's growing is the seed. We just sort of have our little bit, we play our part, a really important part. We do what's ours to do, but it's just our part important. So one theme, I'm setting the table here for today's story. I'm setting the table. And then we rolled into these other stories where there was some kind of master or a rich person or a landowner or something who does something and then allows the servants to take over in some way. And last week we told a story about this servant who the master wasn't paying attention. So he took the money and he was like, pocketing a lot of the money and taking a lot of the money. And the master calls him in and he says, "You're fired, make an account, show me your accounts." And so he goes and he changes the books and he changes how much people owes. And the master goes, "Oh, good, you finally did something important. You made things happen." And the thing was, when we identify with this, and for just let's remind ourselves, when we talk about these stories in the parables about there was this wealthy person who had all the land and gave it to the caretaker or multiple people to tend the land. Who are these people? They're us. They're all these pieces of us. And to read these stories and say, "Oh, I know somebody like that. Yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah. Oh, that person. Yeah. Oh, that's just like her. She does, But me, we always make ourselves the star of the story, right? Yeah. When we read them, we're like, well, I'm the one that doesn't do that. And those people, it's all us. It's all us. And this landowner, the wealthy person, the one that has it all, it's our divine potentiality. It's the Christ of us. It's the divine energy that is me. So we talk about the story where this wealthy person and calls in the servant. And then the servant, who's that? Oh, it's that little S of me, that ego of me, that one that thinks, yeah, I'm in control. I got it. It's mine. So we talked about, and here's the thing, it all belongs to the master. It's mine. It's the Christ of me that has access to all of it. And can give all of it and share all of it and be just as generous as can be, because we know it's an infinite source. The Christ of me knows it's just an infinitive source, and I'm just here to play in this consciousness of coming and going and receiving and giving and just in this flow of this circuit. But the little ego of me goes, "Oh, no, it's mine." We told the story of Brer Rabbit. The fox goes, "That's my little piece of the garden." The rabbit's like, "No, it's not. I can go eat all the green beans and carrots I want. You don't own it." Yeah, it's always this tension. So I'm setting the table. And if there's one theme, I'm giving you the conclusion before I tell this story. So here's the conclusion. It ain't ours. It all belongs to the Christ of us. It all, the whole game, matter, spirit, psyche, we're the servants. We get to be the ones to enjoy it. It is flowing in, as, and through us. In, as, and through us, but we don't own it. And there is such an amazing, to me, when I resonate with this energy, there's so much freedom and going, I don't have to be responsible for everything. I'm just, there's this, some people say, why are we here in life? Well, it's a test. I don't know. I don't go for that. Life is here to be lived. Life is a gift. And I show up, this self of me just gets to flow in the energy of the divine, this divine gift. It's just all here for me. And not only that, it's just so abundant. And there's so much prosperity available if I just align myself in the circuit of the Christ energy that flows into the whole energy of the world in this divine. Oh, Jesus from Galilee. Galilee meant circle. Galilee meant circuit. That Jesus, the great teacher, came from a place that knew everything about how things flowed in a circuit. Galilee is a circle, a circuit, like a battery connected, and the juice is just flowing. Okay, set the table. Theme 1. It's not mine. Never was. I just get to be the servant who gets to use it and enjoy it and feel the fullness of it. How does that set? But some of it's mine. No, it's not. Okay, theme 1. So theme 2, setting the table again, is I kind of had, on Wednesdays I work on my talk, Wednesday, Thursdays, and I sort of have it all down and I'm all ready. And then we showed this movie Friday night about Teilhard de Chardin. Lots of you were there, right? Oh my God, was that amazing? Here's someone I've known for, since a teenager. I had his book, an old paperback. But just to be reintroduced to this person, he was just a nutshell, a Jesuit priest who started having these understandings because he'd go out in the world. He was a paleontologist, a geologist. He knew all the sciences, and he just was enamored with the world of matter. But he was also so connected into the world of spirit. And at the time, for his time in the early 19th century, interesting, same time as the Fillmores in Unity, there's this tension there's the things of matter, of physicalness, of our physical humanity, and the stuff of spirit. And according to, I think it's an overgeneralization, but according to this, much of the milieu that this Jesuit priest was in was like, it's all about taking people to spirit. And the stuff of the world is a test. It's just sinful, it's broken, it's decrepit, this isn't the stuff. You're just working your way through so that when you die, you get on the other side and you're going to this place, heaven. You're going to it, right? Don't you love that language? You're going to it. Where are you going? It's here. There's nowhere to go. Well, 2024, it's easy to say that. But this man was struggling with this thing of matter, spirit, matter, spirit, matter or spirit, matter versus spirit, matter, spirit, matter, spirit, matter. And he got to this place of matter spirit. He saw that there was this, and science was showing us this new ideas, and especially with quantum and the idea that matter is energy and energy is matter. They're just two forms of the same stuff. And he caught on to that as a theological principle, matter spirit. It's like Southwest Airlines. I used to be Frank Weir. Dyann was Dyann Castro. We put our names together. Castro-Wehr, there was a hyphen. Southwest Airlines, no. We can send people to the moon, but we cannot accept a hyphen in a name. Cannot do it. So in a lot of organizations that we sign our name up, we put Castro-Wehr. They go, no, and you can't put a dash. I'm like, so we're Castro-Wehr. We made a new name. It's mushed together. We should have just done that from the start. Castro-Wehr. Matter spirit. It's like one word. What he saw was this matter spirit, matter spirit. Go back to the parable, matter spirit, matter spirit. And the parable, this whole stuff of like Christ, ego, I'm a person, I'm a Christ, I'm a person, I'm a Christ. I live in the world, but I'm divine, but I live in the world, and I'm divine in the world. Yeah, a circuit where all of that. And what's interesting is like the parable, what percentage are we with? 50-50? I don't know. Like the stories Jesus tells about the gardens, it's like we do 5% of the work, but 95% is just divine. It's just the seeds growing, it's just doing its thing. We don't do it. It's not ours. I grew my garden. Look at my garden. Yeah, you hoed a little bit and threw some seeds out. Spirit did the rest, right? But still, we have to do our part. Matter, spirit, matter, spirit, matter, spirit. So there's this other part of matter, spirit. And not only that, but Teilhard found, and this plays in so well, is that he said, yeah, the divine created the world, and no one's doubting that, and there is this creation. But what the divine created was a process. I created a process. The end of creation was a process of evolution, and we keep unfolding, and we keep unfolding. It's ended. This is the process, and we're unfolding to an omega point, a final point of the good. And every way along this line, we keep falling to in this movie, it was so wonderful. He's a stretcher bearer in World War I, seeing just the stench of dead people and the bodies in the trenches and just the horror of it all. And he writes that, what's mine to do in the midst of this terrible, horrible, ugly situation is do what's mine to do. And I'm going to care for people, and I'm going to love people. I'm going to treat them as a medic and a stretcher bearer. That's what's mine to do. And meanwhile, some way that I can't understand, there's an evolutionary process unfolding in this European struggle that's leading us forward to some new good. I wish I wish it was some other way, that it wasn't so violent. But here it is. Here's the reality. And instead of going, oh, it's all terrible, and what happened, and God just left us, he saw that, no, God didn't left us. God, the Christ in me, my words, not his, the Christ in me says I can show up in this terrible situation and do what's mine to do, be a loving presence in the midst of all this. I can do that. What time is it? Okay, I've just set the table. Here's where we're at. You caught up? Lots of themes in play here. Lots of themes in play. So we're doing stories, right? This is one. It comes in a whole slew of parables that are going on, and I'm going to jump into this one in the Gospel of Matthew, and it's often called the parable of the talents. But like I've mentioned before, the original scriptures, they didn't write those titles. People later came and wrote the titles. So I always say, yeah, that's what it's known as. But when I finish the story and we finish talking, you might ask, well, I think I'd call it something else. Lots of times, I do want to call it something else. But the story goes like this. For it is if a person going on a journey summoned all the servants and entrusted their property to them. Well, pause for a second. I'm just pausing the story. So it's like this property owner who owns lots of property and lots of material and lots of wealth is going on a journey. And so, is that, something in me that's going on a journey? And do we, I've been thinking on this all week. There is this sense of like, I know this truth of myself. I know this Christ essence of myself. I understand, there feels like this evolution of consciousness. I think, we all know this feeling of we're moving to something, and it feels like it's something that we're moving to, but at the same time, it feels like something that we've known all along. It's like the truth of us, it's just sort of baked into our nature. And it's not like this element, this divine impetus of ourselves has really gone away. It's there all along, but there's this play. We get to play. We get to have our life. We get to be part of this dynamic, part of this evolutionary unfolding. We get to do it. So this divine person says, well, I'm not going to sit here and micromanage you. Here, go, be part of it. Why is it God needs us to play? To me, God says, go do this stuff. I'm loving it. Be the divine. I can sit by myself all alone in the universe and just be the divine, but the divine wanted, let's make all sorts of outpicturing of this divine energy of who I am, and let's go play it out. And it's all its glory. So the master doesn't really so much go away as he just says, I want to see what you'll do. Let's play. Let's have the divine drama unfold. Let's allow you to experience me. Let God be God in you, Meister Eckhart. Let God be God in you, the great mystic Meister Eckhart. Let God be God in you. Let this be your play. And so the person goes away, summoned the servants and entrusted property to them. To one he gave 5 talents. And 5 talents is about, it's like 20 years of a laborman's wage, okay? So you understand, this is like an exaggeration. I'm going to give you 20 years' wages. Here you go. Just take that, right? What would that be? Imagine. And to another one, he gave 2 talents. And to a third, the master gave 1 talent. And it says, each according to their ability. And then the master goes away. And at once, the one who had received the 5 talents went off and traded with them and made 5 more talents. Pause. Where do you invest, 5 years of, whatever it is, millions of dollars, and immediately get twice your investment? I want to know where he's investing this money. That's a good deal, man. I think CDs are like 3.5 or something. This guy's getting like 100% back. They had good banks back there in Nazareth in 30 AD, I tell you. That's good. So obviously, the story is an exaggeration to make a point. And then, in the same way, the one who had the 2 talents made 2 more. That's like 5 years of work. But the one who had received the 1 talent, which is still like years of a laborman's wages, it's a lot, went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. So after a long time, the master of those servants came, and he started to settle the accounts. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more, saying, Master, you handed over to me 5 talents, and see, I made 5 more. And the master said, Well done, good servant. You're very trustworthy. You have been trustworthy in these few things. 20 years labor is a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Oh my God, what's that? Enter the joy of your master. Enter the joy of your master. Yeah, that's what we get. The joy of the master. The talents weren't ours in the first place. Didn't belong to this servant. We're never the servants. Only theirs to steward. Only theirs to care for. Only theirs to invest, to enjoy, to expand, to play in the field. And by the way, subtext, so some people hear this and go, yeah, well, I don't know about investing. What if something goes wrong? Fine. Take a chance. Make a mistake. Let it go wrong. It never says, well, be careful in your investments in case you mess up. Mess up. Fine. But don't sit. Oh, we'll get to that. Just don't sit on them. And the one with the 2 talents came forward and said, Master, you handed over to me 2 talents, and I made 2 more. The master said, Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You've been trustworthy in a few things. I'll put you in charge of many. Enter the joy of your master. But then the one who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, Master, I knew you were a harsh person, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter. So I was afraid. There's that fear word, right? And I went and hid your talent in the ground. So I dug it up. Here, you can have it back. What is yours? So the master replied, Oh, you wicked and lazy servant. You knew, did you, that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I did not scatter? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and on my return, I would have received what was mine with my interest. And so take that talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. For to all those who have, more are given, and those who have an abundance, and they will have an abundance. From those who have nothing, even what they have is taken away. Ooh, mic drop. So this thing about the 5 talents, that goes to 10. Now, when you think of this story, I want to ask, let's not think of it linearly like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Because these parables defy sort of always a linear explanation like that. But it's kind of like 5 talents. Okay, 5, all you metaphysicians out there. When you think of 5, what do you think of? What's 5? 5 senses. Thank you. 5 senses. So the first part is we have 5 senses, right? Yeah, or do we have 10? Yeah, or 7. Let's do this 5 senses. And it turns out that we actually have 10. This person who invests in 5 actually moves until there's 10 senses. It's kind of like this candle. It's just like simple piece of glass on one level. But then, you look at it, this crystal, I love these crystals. You light a little candle, you let the light from the window come through, and all of a sudden, instead of a very 2-dimensional thing that you can see and touch, it starts sparkling, at least from my perspective. You see, it turns into like a spectrum of colors. And also, it moves beyond this 2-dimensional matter reality, and you start seeing like this energy, these lights, these prisms, these spectrums. It moves into a whole nother level. It moves from just matter to a matter energy to a matter spirit to a both and. We live in this both and world. And so the 5 becomes 10. And so this fullness of like someone says, I see, I see that. And then we have an idea and we go, I see a new possibility, and I can touch it. And then we also say, like, I have this idea, this divine idea, I can just touch it. It's so real to me, I can feel it. And this profound change is like the master saying, you have 5 senses, but you have 10 senses. Open up to both matter spirit, not just 5 matter senses, and not just 5 spiritual senses, 10 matter spirit, the fullness of the both and, the all of it, to expand into this both what we know in the spiritual and the psychic world, but also in the physical world, and we have a foot in both. We have a foot in both, and this gets really important. And then there's the one that had 2. Just 2 talents, not just 2. I mean, it turns out that's 40 years of, or whatever, years and years of work. It's a lot of silver at the time. So when you think of 2, I mean, I don't know, what do you think of when you just think of 2? What's it? Body, mind, yeah. And what's a body, mind, or male, female, keep going, what else? Dark and light, good and bad, right and wrong, up and down, this or that. We live in a world of this binary, right? And oh my gosh, we've done Taoism, we've done the yin yang, we've done this ad nauseum, right? Because it's so important. The mystics, the deep mystics, the Greek mystics, the Egyptian mystics, these mystics always talk about the value of not getting stuck in the either or. So instead of 2, we put it together to make a whole, to make it a doublet. So we see realms of not just either or, but both and. That we expand it to a whole nother dimension that's not just good or bad. It's like, well, there's this tends to, we need to move back. We're on like a polarity wheel of like, it's not good, bad, but somewhere in the middle there's this, we're finding this truth of the nature. And we're finding this humility that says, I'm going to move towards what I understand is the good. And, but maybe I'm wrong. How does this affect you? How does this work? Let me look at the reasons. Oh, I thought I was doing so good, but actually there was consequences to that I didn't appreciate. I need to move back and do this. Oh, if I go more this way, oh, now that's not working. It's this humility to say, I'm not going to live in 2. I'm going to live in this more dimensions where I find a place that's humble and humility that says, I'm going to outpicture the best I can to the best of my knowledge how this is going to unfold. The best of my knowledge is how I'm going to unfold. And to another person, he gives 1. And in this story, here's what I think the 1 is. And this goes back, for many of you saw this movie at Teilhard. He was in the church at the time, in the institutional church. They said, Teilhard, the matter doesn't matter. It's evil, it's corrupt, it's fallen, it's sinful. It's only about spirit. And going to heaven, it's that. 1 dimension. There's also the dimension, and we fall into this sometimes too. Good, thank goodness all this religion and talk of after, the spiritual world is done. I'm an empiricist. It's all about matter. If you can't prove it to me in the material plane, it doesn't exist. We know both, right? I've probably been in both worlds myself once upon a time. And when we're in the flatland, Ken Wilber calls this flatland, loses its dimensionality. Flatland, Ken Wilber. So if we get out of flatland and we go into this place of like, it's not just this and it's not just that, we can't be in flatland. At least go into the too talented part of things. And stay out of the flatland. Because when it's in flatland, it says, what does he say? Lazy, unfaithful servant. It's like nothing's going to happen there. It loses its juice. we're just all caught up in the material plane and forget that there's this greater energy that's pulling us and moving us and part of our being, the Christ element, the divine impetus of us. Or we're just all caught up in the divine, we lose our feet on the earth where we need to the Good Samaritan, the people walk by, I'm all spiritual, I'm going to do my thing. And it's like, a person beat up and sick, well, yeah, sorry, but I'm all spiritual, But we can get so caught up too in the problems of the world that we forget there's also a spiritual solution. There's a spiritual solution, there's an energy, a divine energy that also supports us in moving in the world. This whole story is about staying in balance, staying in the allness of it, and the spirit mind of things. In the spirit mind. So a part of this today, I was thinking, okay, we're going to do this. There's come in for a landing here. There's a book that Wayne Dyer, most of you guys know Wayne Dyer, right? And I think I looked at like 10 books to get ready for today. There's just so much good stuff. And he talks about there's a spiritual solution to every problem. And when I went back and looked at that book, which I hadn't looked at in, like 15 years, most of the chapters, there's a few forward chapters, and the rest of the chapters, he just breaks down using what they often call the prayer of Francis of Assisi. Let me be a channel of peace. Where there's hatred, what do? I sow love. Yeah. Where there's injury, I bring pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Despair, I bring hope. Yeah. Where there's darkness, light. Where there's sadness, where there's this, I also bring this. Where there's this, I also bring this. Where there's this, I also bring this. Where there's that. Getting out of flatland. I'm going to bring the prayer, the spiritual solution is bringing the fullness, the wholeness, the completeness, the Christ essence to the material plane from the spiritual plane and back. Yeah. And then he ends the prayer like this. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born. It is in dying that we're born. It isn't, and I want to focus on the giving that we receive. And we talk about this all the time, and it's like so much sort of the crux of the thing. And why not give? It's not mine. When I give, it's like, well, it's mine, and I can give just a little bit. It's not mine. I'm just giving it back to the master who lent it to me in the first place. What a freedom. I just give myself a break. I don't have to be responsible. Just allow. And the first person we need to give to, the very first person we need to give to is yourself. Give to yourself. And I don't mean ego give to myself, like, oh, good, I'm going shopping after service. And you can, whatever. Buy me something. No, but, and that's fine. But I'm talking about, we give to ourselves in this way. It's like, I'm really feeling sort of tired and broken down. Take a weekend. Give yourself a retreat. I'm feeling out of sorts. Give yourself half hour a day to meditate. Give yourself 15 minutes a day to pray. Give yourself some time to really nurture the full. I'm just all out of sorts. Give yourself an hour on Sunday morning and just go see everybody at Unity. Give it to yourself. Give it to yourself. And then give where you see the need. Oftentimes, in the church, there's this sense of giving, and we talk about tithe, giving a tithe. Tithe means 10%. I would say, of the books, and I've got a bookshelf of books on giving and prosperity and abundance. It all says the same. It's like, here's what you might want to do. Give 10%, save 10%, manage your money well, be responsible, hold it with respect. But don't be frivolous. Treat it with the honor that it's been yours to give and to give out. And by the way, the 10%, you notice the first thing of the talents. I gave you 5 and you made, and it adds up to 10. Of course it does. 10 is what they call the divine number, the divine number. Do people always give 10%? We're being literal here. and literal is good. And someone goes, well, I want to give this divine number. I want to give this full. I want to be both matter and spirit. I want to be in this flow of this connection. Is 10% the right number? Sure. Is it 5%, 4%, 3%, 20%? Sure. But it's the divine number. It's the fullness. It's the wholeness. And we know in our hearts. We know in our hearts. Is it to Unity? Sure. Is it to some other nonprofits that really are important to you? Sure. Is it some organization that really has been important to you in your life? Sure it is. And you go, well, but it's kind of mine. No, it's not mine. I'm a servant. I'm the steward. We're all stewards of these gifts that have come through us. And our job is to manage them well, to manage them in a way that's sacred, to manage them, from a holy perspective. And I'm going to say, just on a very physical note, because what I'm really talking about, and all this about wealth, is in consciousness. It's in mind. It's in prayer. It's in the vibrational match that we hold it. It's in the vibrational match that we hold it. And so what we do the thing was today, what was it? Prosperity? As I give, so I receive. As I give in consciousness, so it comes back to me in consciousness. I'm going to end in a minute with some affirmative prayers for our prosperity. But I did want to note one thing on a very practical note. I don't know if many of you see this. Here's our bulletin, right? And you go in, and right here in the bottom, there's a little gray box. And it talks about tithes and offerings. And you can see that every week we say, first week, second week, third week, fourth week, where are we? What's our budget? And how close do we get? And you can see sometimes we're pretty close, and sometimes, And part of it is, and this is on, right, 5% of, we do what's ours to do, and 95% is Spirit blessing through us. But here's our 5% of what's ours to do. You might want to we can pay attention to this number, and just to know in our consciousness how the operations of Unity is. And a lot of people come online, so here's my moment break. Unity text to give number is 360-519-5195. I'll give you a minute to write it down. You got a pen? I'm looking at you on the camera. You'll notice that last week we had 47 here and 88 online. So everyone here, just take a break. All of you online, because the basket goes around in here, but it doesn't go around out there. 360-519-5195. You just go to your text, you type that number, you write the word give. It says, how much do you want to give? Follow the prompt. It's really amazing. Thank you. Because we have our 5% that's ours to do. We need to hoe the ground. We need to pull the weeds. We need to do what's ours to do. So we need to do that. And then we let it go forward and we trust in Spirit. Here's a beautiful thing. I looked into spiritual economics. This is an Eric Butterworth book. God, it's a wonderful story. Here's just a quote from Fillmore. And this goes to affirmative prayer about our abundance and about living in this both and living in this circuit, living in the fullness and living into this flow. Watch your thoughts when you're handling your money, because your money is attached through your mind to the one source of all substance and all money, to the one source of all substance and money. And when you think of your money, which is visible, there's that 5% visible, as something directly attached to an invisible source that is giving or withholding according to your thoughts. Giving and withholding according to your thoughts. You have the key to all riches, and you have the key to all lack, and it's in consciousness. It's in mind. It's how we're holding our abundance or how we're holding our lack thoughts. So I'm going to end on some affirmative prayers just to get an idea. And remember, what we're saying about, and it's fun to do money, because you do other things. Oh, we're going to give love, we're going to help, and they go money. People, some of us go, and it's the culture we live in. And it wasn't different in Jesus' time. That's why he brought it up all the time. The parable of the talents. So some prayers or thoughts we might hold in mind. Yeah, well, that sounds good for people who have a lot of money, but I just don't have much. Remember we talk everything you want is downstream? Downstream thoughts, downstream consciousness. You're in the river and you're going, and everything you want is downstream. So downstream thought, you're just paddling along. You might have to go around the rocks and you're, in the White Rapids, woohoo, but you're going downstream. You're gonna get there, no doubt. You're just having a ball. Or there's upstream where you're like, I'm trying to get to where I wanna go, but it's so much work and you're going nowhere. You're fighting the current and you're exhausted. That's upstream thoughts. Here's upstream. I don't ever have enough. I can't share anything. How do you want me to volunteer? I don't have enough time for myself. How could I help my neighbor when, no one's helping me? What, the world's out to get me. Downstream thoughts. I always have enough to share. I've got some time to go help a neighbor. That person needs my support. I'll take an hour. I've got it. Yeah, maybe I don't have as much as other people, but I have plenty. And I have some to share. Ooh, feel it in your heart. Like in your gut. Feel the difference. Give me an upstream thought. Give me one that just you feel like it just saps my energy. Throw out one for me on money or wealth. It's a bad economy. Candy bars are $1.50. Oh, now they're $1. A payday was $2 at the 7-Eleven. What is wrong with this economy? Yeah. Switch that around. What's a downstream thought? I can get a candy bar once in a while if I want one. I got it. I love paydays. Okay, give me another one. What's an upstream thought? Give me another upstream thought on money and economy. One that you're fighting. Come on. My Social Security just is not enough for me. Oh my God, what? Or I don't know, can I embellish that? Why don't they change? They, oh, I love they. They. Wait, here's a flashing red light. As soon as we're saying they, you going upstream. Why don't they do more? What's the problem? Downstream thought, I am so blessed. I get a check every month in the mail. I am blessed beyond belief. This is amazing. I live in a country that is, at least providing this check. I'm going to use divine ideas and I'm going to bring this into my consciousness with nothing but gratitude and see what else I can do with this and find a way. And by the way, this is not, you're not being Pollyanna. In all of this too, it's like we have to do a budget, we have to find deals when we can get them. There's nothing wrong with, finding a bargain, doing a good job shopping, not being frivolous with our money. If I can eat out twice a week instead of how many? 8 times? Maybe we only go out twice. There's real stuff we have to manage. That's all part of it. But it's just the consciousness that freezes us up from, so I want to volunteer. What are we going to do? We're going to have a volunteer day here. Oh, they want us to volunteer again, and there's always more to do at the church. Again, we haven't done it in 4 months, but here we go again, asking to volunteer. What's a downstream thought to that? Oh, I get to go hang out with some of my buddies at Unity for an hour. This could be really fun. Let's go see what's going on. And by the way, when people come here and volunteer for an hour, you stay for 2.5. Happens every time. Nobody ever leaves. We have cake, and it's like, okay, guys, it's 1:30, and it's we go and we think it's first it's a struggle, and then we find it's so easy to turn and get a vibrational match to this abundance thinking, to this true thinking, to this thinking that leads us into a new area of the fullness of our life. Go downstream. In many ways, affirmative prayer is downstream prayer. Oh God, something's wrong, please fix it. Upstream. Divine ideas are with me now. Everything I need is being provided to me by Spirit. I know that God is with me as I figure out the next right and best step to resolve this apparent issue in my life. My good is assured. This universe is working for me, not against me, and I am moving towards my good. God, Spirit will show me the next best steps for my life. It'll never work. I'm doomed again. I keep trying and nothing's working for me. Upstream. The world's against me. The universe it's just not my life. The universe isn't for me. Teilhard de Chardin. It's a benevolent universe. It's nothing but love. This is a guy who the Jesuit order did not let him print his books to his dying day. Dying day, he tried to publish his books. They would not let him. They sent him to China. They sent him to New York. That's the funny thing. I was sent to New York as a punishment because I couldn't be in Paris. I thought, well, that's a little French-centric there. But anyhow, but he didn't want to be there. And he kept being thwarted at every step. But he sent all the copies of all his works to his secretary, a woman, a friend of his. He died, and 2 months later, all his works were published. Within a year, published in dozens of languages around the world. Changed the tenure. Vatican II, the language of Vatican II in the Catholic Church, had sprinkled the words of Teilhard de Chardin in the works. Many years later, the latest encyclical, and I've read parts of it in here from Pope Francis, called Laudata Si. All praise to you, my Lord. It's from the great canticle of Mother Earth, Father, Brother, Son, Sister Moon of Earth, full of references to Teilhard de Chardin. You know, and he could have said, oh, they'll never let me publish. I'm going to just quit writing. Nobody loves me. It's just not working. Instead he said, this is mine to do, and I will write, and I will trust. I went through those double wars. I've suffered a lot. I've also experienced a lot. I felt the joy. I've been awakened to the beauty of the earth. I have found this truth that I need to share of spirit matter. Spirit matter. I am a human being living in a natural world imbued with spirit. That's my truth. And I will be obedient to what I need to do, and I will trust that somehow, some way, in ways I may never know, and he didn't know it in his physical life, that my good work will go out and be fecund. It will be like a seed bearing to the whole Christianity, the whole West, the whole world. They've got museums to Teilhard in China for the work he did. And I will stay true to what's mine to do. I will write, I will give, I will learn, I will share, I will give from the abundance of my heart. And look what happened. He could have thrown in the towel or thrown in the oar a long time ago. But he went with it. He went with it. So I end with, yeah. Okay, it was more than 20 minutes. What's ours to do? I hope you don't mind. This was just so good, guys. Yeah. What's ours to do? Let's practice your prayer. Watch our thoughts. Go downstream. Be affirmative. Know the truth. This universe is not here to be against you. It is for you. Despite the many examples you could think of that goes, well, I'm not so sure. It is for us, even in the struggles, even in the complications. It is for us, and it is for our spirit. It is for the Christ of us to express. And it's not ours. We're just here to enjoy the ride, to express. And it is all in the giving of our love, our understanding, our money, our time, our volunteer. It's giving of these lives that we find this full freedom of our lives. Okay? Okay. Good. Blessings, everyone. Amen.